Emmanuel, we'll start with you. What can we expect tonight with this meeting between US President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu?
Well, first of all, the main reason why Netanyahu is meeting Trump is because he's in America for the AIPAC conference, and obviously he's using this opportunity to meet with the President of the United States. I think for Netanyahu, he's also using this opportunity to boost himself internationally, also vis-a-vis Israeli voters, because of his legal troubles at home, saying, look, I am also a statesman, look what I'm achieving. I'm getting from the President of the United States this declaration that is going to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem on Israel's Independence Day. So they're going to discuss the issue of Jerusalem, as always, also, of course, the Iran issue, whether or not the Trump administration is going to spell out what its strategy is going to be regarding the Iranian deal. If it pulls out of the deal, how it's planning on, managing this issue. So, as always, the Iranian issue and also the question of Jerusalem, and for Netanyahu, as I said, boosting himself vis-a-vis the Israelis in light of his legal troubles.
And Emmanuel, you just touched on the embassy being moved to Jerusalem, and now we're seeing Guatemala also announced that. Can we expect any other countries to also follow suit?
Look, there might be other countries in South America and also in Africa. Generally speaking, in the history of Israel's foreign policy, countries in the developing world that think that Israel has this leverage in America can help them. If they're closer to Israel, it can help them in the United States. And it's not by chance that the president of Guatemala spoke at AIPAC, the Jewish lobby, the pro-Israel lobby. So there might be other countries in the developing world that might move their embassy to Jerusalem, thinking that it might help them in their relation with the United States. By the way, it did happen in the past until 1982 that there were 16 foreign embassies in West Jerusalem. So it's not unprecedented.
Okay, and we also saw the head of AIPAC voicing a call for Palestinian statehood. How rare is that?
So I think it's interesting because in the past few years, AIPAC was very clearly in a very different position than J Street, this lobby that had been established at the beginning of the first Obama administration. And J Street was challenging AIPAC, saying, they were very outspoken about the issue of a two-state solution when AIPAC was not. So there's something new, I would say, about the fact that AIPAC is very clearly adopting this line, knowing the fact that the Prime Minister Netanyahu and most of his government members, most of his ministers and his Likud members now say openly that they oppose a Palestinian state. So it's interesting to see that AIPAC today not only is blurring the line between itself and J Street on that issue, but is also, I would say, openly, confronting the Israeli government, knowing that Netanyahu and most of his cabinet members today no longer say that they want a two-state solution or completely oppose it.
Emmanuel, thank you. And we'll go to you now, Bianca, and we'll talk about Italy. We could be seeing a hung parliament there. How surprising is this?
Well, first of all, last week when we were talking about these elections, I said that what this weekend would show was how strong a force populism still is in Europe. And what the elections have shown is that they're very, very strong. The parties that did well have a few things in common. First of all, they have the Euroscepticism in common. They're sort of protesting this top-down policy from Brussels. The message is very clearly Italy first. They have a very strong anti-immigration sentiment, a very strong anti-establishment sentiment. And if we look at these three factors, we're talking about parties that have a main message that is going against something. The result is that's not just one party. The front pages today in Italy are saying Italy is ungovernable. The mess that we're seeing right now could take weeks to form a government, but either way, what we will see is an Italy focused inwards and less devoted to the European Union as a project.
And for both of you, how do you see this going with no one winning a majority?
Well, when the Italian newspapers come with a title saying Italy is ungovernable, that's not news.
It's not news.
It's not new. It's been like this forever. And for some reason, they always manage to govern this country. I love Italy very much, but the politics is really complicated. Look, it seems that the conservative coalition, Berlusconi and the North League, might be able to form a coalition. It might be also that at the end of the day, the Five Star Movement will agree to be more pragmatic and join some kind of coalition.
Well, they are the biggest party. They have come out with about 32% of the vote.
Right.
So it's likely that they will have some sort of role, but it's very, very unclear what's going to happen. But I do think that what differs this election from what we've seen before in Italy with all the mess that they have is that we're seeing the forces of populism really coming in to the mainstream, and we're seeing a European Union that's quite weakened already with Brexit and with this illiberal bloc in the Eastern European countries, and now Italy as well moving that way against this project of the Union of Europe. So it's really worrying for Europeans.
A lot will depend also, I think, on who Berlusconi will designate to lead his Forza Italia party. Will it be a consensual pro-European figure or a Eurosceptic figure that also will be a key factor, if of course he's given the opportunity to form the government, because he himself cannot govern because he was convicted in the past. So who he will designate to run a potential coalition will also, I think, be a key factor.
So you think it's, dangerous for the European Union?
Well, I mean, dangerous is a strong word, right? But I do think that what we saw in 2017 was the world had its eyes on France and on Germany and on Austria, and there was a slight sigh of relief that the far right didn't do as well as many had worried, but there was a strong impact. They did have a strong impact on the agenda, on the debate, and that's also what we saw here: anti-immigration, anti-EU, nationalism first, and that's what we're seeing, and it's sort of a wave that hasn't stopped, even though many thought they could take a breath.
And also a young leader, because the head of Five Star Movement, he's 31, and all he has run so far is a website, so it would be interesting to see if he'll join the league of Emmanuel Macron and Sebastian Kurz. In terms of age, is in a similar league, even though he's
very fresh faces.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much today, Emmanuel Macron and Bianca Zanini.